And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Well, the rain's finally quit. Boy, every evening, seems like if it isn't raining here on the farm, then you can just see it going around us. We had a pretty good shower this evening. Still got hay to cut. Still can't cut it. Maybe soon. Watching the weather forecast very intently, and there's a possibility, not this week. This is a Monday. Not this week. There's rain chances almost every evening this week. But next week, it's looking better to cut hay next week than any time we've had in a month or longer. So, fingers crossed, maybe. We're gonna get a few things ready so when time comes to cut hay, we're not rushed. The rain has stopped for a few minutes. We're preparing our baler for the next cutting, which hopefully will be in about a week and a half, somewhere in there. Our fingers are crossed. That's all up to the good Lord above. So we'll smile and be happy with whatever he decides. Today's the day the Lord's made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Okay, if you follow along with our videos very long, you know we made a new twine bucket. Our old twine bucket had some cracks in it and was getting in bad shape. We made another one. So now we have to reroute our twine in the baler. And I've had some questions in the past. Hey Darren, can you do a quick video showing how you route your twine in this Maxx Redlands 330 twine wrap baler? Sure I can. So what better time now? We're getting everything ready. You can see we got our new gathering wheels on. Look at that. We hope they work good. All right, I've already set a bale of Titan 16,000 green sisal twine in our bucket. I've already run the tag end out the grommet right here. Okay, we're going to start from there, and I've pulled out a bunch so we'd have enough to route through. All right, I've got a little tip that I use to do this. Maybe it'll help one of y'all. Okay, in my compartment right here, when we are not baling, I keep, you can see my push button, harness, and all that's in there. There's also something else in here. Small, you can see I've about used it all. Electrical tape. And right back here, I have a little piece about 6 inches of electric fence wire. This is like 14 gauge soft fence wire. Why do I have that in my baler here? I'm gonna show you. This really helps with rerouting the twine in this baler. I'm gonna sit that down right there for a moment. All right, all the twine wrap happens, if you're facing your baler, it happens on the left side, over here where all the twine wrap pulleys are, where it'll come up into your worm gear. So I've already taken this bottom knob off, and we're gonna go ahead and open this side. And you'll have to excuse, it's a little dirty in there. All right, here's how we route our twine. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is go, we've already got it through this grommet in the bottom of the bucket. We're gonna go through the grommet right there, going down, okay? And right here is a welded on little U-bolt thing. All right, we're gonna go under that. All right, we're gonna pull us some slack through. All right, here is where this is gonna start being in use. You may think, what in the world is he doing with that? Okay, have you ever taken any kind of a rope that's multi-strand that's been braided together like this twine is, and you try to feed it through a hole and it just starts fraying out and you can't never get it through there? You end up out in the field sticking it in your mouth and putting saliva on it and, you know, getting it wet so you can twist it so it'll go through those tight places, this is the solution. You probably know where I'm going with this. Okay, I'm going to get my tape and my Case XX pocket knife, courtesy of my granddaughter. All right, and I'm going to cut me a little piece of this tape. You country boys and farm guys and gals, you know where I'm going with this. Okay, if I can find the end of my tape, there it is. All right, I'm just going to cut me a little, maybe about 2-3 inches of this tape. Okay, I'm just going to take my twine and I'm going to put this tape on it. And I'm going to pull it kind of tight. I'm going to hold it with my finger. And I'm going to tape this twine to my fence. I didn't pull it quite tight enough. There we go. Just like that. That simple. Okay. Now, we're going to come back in here and we're going to go, right here is a tensioner. You see my fingers are on it. Okay. This twine is going to come through this wall of the baler and come through that tensioner. I'm going to pull down on that tensioner a little bit like that. And I'm going to take this right through it. See? I went below it. Okay, you got to be careful doing that. You've got to go through the tensioner right there. See how that fencing wire makes that so easy? Uh-oh. I've got a knot here. All right, that's not going to work. Okay, we got to come back out, and I got to straighten this up. All right, I'm back through. Now, let's make sure, all right, when you're doing this, don't get your line tangled like I just did. All right, now we're straight. All right, we're going to go back through this tensioner, making sure we're going through the tensioner right there. See it coming out? See how easy that goes through with that wire attached to it? Man, that's so much easier. Okay, we're going to leave this attached to our wire because we're not going to take this off till we're done. The next step is to go through this pulley right here. Okay, I'm just going to do the same thing with my wire. Look how easy that goes through when it's attached to wire, that fencing wire. Okay, you would think the next step would be to go around your worm gear pulley. Okay, we're going to skip that for now. That's going to be the last thing we do. All right, we're going to come right on over to this pulley. We are going to go through it, just like that. Pull our slack through. All right, we got another post right here we have to go on the inside of. All right, before I go through that one, let me explain something. Okay, when you come through, see this bar? I don't know if my hand's in the way. Right here's your pulley, and right below it is a little bar. You have to go between that bar, above the bar, onto the pulley. If you go below that bar, here's the bar and here's the pulley. If you go below that bar, I done that one time. Soon as my twine arm fell on a full bale, it fell down in, grabbed the twine, and broke. And I thought, what in the world did I do? So I come back and looked at everything. I started all the way up here. I thought, what's got my twine caught? And I come through and checked everything looked good. When I looked down in there, my twine was under that bar, not between it and the roller. It was under it. And it only took about 2 seconds for that twine to break. It would not pull it through. So when you run this through, make sure, and it's in a tight spot, you're looking in there, and if you ain't got good light, you could really easily miss that and go under that bar. So if the camera can zoom in there, I'm gonna go through this pulley, okay? and I'm gonna go just like that, above the bar. Can you see it going through it right there? See how easy that fencing wire makes this work? All right, I can reach right in there and pull that through. Look at that, now it is on the pulley. And I'm gonna glance in there just to make sure. Yes. All right, next thing, we're gonna go on our twine arm. We're gonna go right up through, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna pull a little more slack through. Just like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to come around now to the other side. Actually to the front. All right, I'm gonna get my fencing wire. All right, and I'm gonna go right on through, just like this. All right, and right here's a tensioner. All right, I've got to go through that tensioner. All right, and I'm gonna use my other hand to give myself a little slack. There, it went through. Okay, I'm gonna make sure it's up in there on the pulley, just like that. Okay. All right, we're just gonna leave our wire line right there and our tag end. We're gonna come back over here and we're gonna verify that everything is still through the tensioners on the pulleys. Everything looks good. Now we're gonna put our twine on the worm gear. When you go to put your twine on the worm gear pulley, just remember a shotgun, a double barrel shotgun. It's gonna go under and over, just like this, all right? We're gonna go under. The one coming off this pulley is gonna be under, all right? Just like, and we use the middle pulley for the minimum, for the middle wrap. Okay, and this one goes over. See how that's over? All right, and I'm just gonna pull the slack through, just like that. Make sure it's down in your pulley groove good. All right. Come right back over here. I'm gonna pull this, not letting my twine arm move. I'm just gonna pull the slack out of it till I see that pulley barely start to move. I'm gonna take my trusty little pocket knife again, and I'm gonna pull this twine down in the port till it's almost touching a couple of inches of that top roller, just like this. All right, and I'm gonna cut it about right there. Whoops, I dropped it. Right there. We're done. That's simple. Routing the twine on the, and don't forget your little wire. Routing the twine on these balers is really simple. It's a simple process, and this tape will just slide right off my wire, and I can put my wire back in the compartment with my tape right in there. All right, and we're going to close the lid. Just like that. We got some slack here hanging, so I'm just going to pull it back up into the bucket so it'll stay out of the way. You don't want a bunch of slack just hanging to catch on things. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna come back around and just do a quick visual to make sure everything is through the pulleys. I'm gonna glance in there, that looks good. It's coming through the tensioner here. Yep. Right around this pulley, on the inside of the post, around this pulley, under and over, right around this pulley, onto that pulley, right up onto the twine arm pulley and through the tensioner right there. We're done. It's that simple. All right, this baler, the twine, and everything in this baler is ready for baling. I have checked the sight glass. I did this off camera, but I checked the sight glass for the oil level and the gearbox. Checked the worm gearbox oil, and ready to rock and roll. So, soon as the weather will break, we can start cutting hay, and the baler's ready. However, we have the net wrap model that Kyle from Carver Equipment bought us to try. And we got a lot of things we're wanting to try. We're wanting to try out these gathering wheels on the twine wrap baler of ours. But we're also wanting to try out that net wrap. And so we're gonna do some baling probably with both of them, because I really want to see how these gathering wheels work, because I've been anticipating using those things for a long time. And then we're going to use the net wrap baler and the accumulator. We'll be using it on all of them, but we may do a little baling with this one and then park it and hook up the net wrap and start using it. We'll use the net wrap with our drawbar system too, just like we do with this baler. There's a little differences in the net wrap baler and this baler, mainly about the wrap. But I noticed also the net wrap baler, these gathering wheels are not going to just bolt on like they did this one, unless we want to drill some holes in these plates. The plates on the net wrap baler do not have pre-drilled holes. We would have to drill some holes, and it's not our baler. It's Carver Equipment's baler. And we're just going to use it to test it and see what we think of it. So I'm not going to put the gathering wheels over on that baler. We'll just leave them on this one when we start baling. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps somebody. If you have trouble feeding that sisal twine through those pulleys and through those tensioners, just cut you a little piece of about 4 or 5 inches of a metal clothes hanger. Those old wire clothes hangers, or if you're a farmer like us, just cut you a little piece of some electric fence wire, and goodness at the deer out in our fields. They eat our hay fields up. I don't know if you can see them out there. They're way over there. There's a bunch of them. But I can go out and walk around in our fields, and you wouldn't believe where the timothy and the orchard's coming up really good. When it first starts coming up good, you can just walk along everywhere and see where the tops of them's been eat. So many deer around here, it's pathetic. But anyway, starting to rain again. So we're gonna get our baler backed in the barn and out of the way, and it's about to get dark too. It's about 8 p.m. And with this cloud cover, it's gonna get dark pretty early tonight. So thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. Hope this helps someone. The little tip about the fence and wire, it works. Just get you some kind of little tape and a piece of fence wire. Man, you can shove that twine through those grooves and through those tensioners fast. Thanks for being with us, and I pray God blesses you and your family, and I pray y'all have a fantastic day.